Okay, so this is the second attempt today to explain basically dimmer switches and emotions. So pretty much I'm pretty sure that like I have a switchboard with like all the different emotions, right? And there it's basically like a breaker. So if I get too angry, it flips off and then I don't actually feel anger anymore, right? And then there's a dial on the opposite side for anger. And it basically works like this. So I turn it and it goes, and then it's on. So basically like all of a sudden I'll have the feeling of anger, or I'll have the thought of anger. So it won't necessarily be the feeling yet, it'll just be the thought. I'll be like, wait a second, this makes me angry. And then it goes, right? And then like from there, I basically like the anger can be turned up, right? And then when the anger is being turned up, like it doesn't necessarily like it can be related to like people around me or situations, and then they're trying to associate basically like train me to be like angry and then less angry at certain things. And I'm like, hey, call it for what it is. You're training me to be angry about this, and you're also training me to be not angry about these things. So I'm like it doesn't matter. So like really like realistically, yeah, so basically they're going like they're just turning it up, right? And then if I'm like at the point where I'm like yelling and I'm like, hey, like shut up, like fuck off or whatever, like they're basically going like, okay, so like we've brought them to, we're using the loud part, and now it's like, and like we'll see if like we can get the other side, like the person across, to basically just like escalate the situation, and then if they don't, then like they'll try to get me to escalate the situation, and there's a cap. The dimmer will only go so bright. The dimmer of the light switch dimmer will only go so bright, and then what ends up happening is if you force it to go brighter, like if you try to jack the light to go brighter by like, you know, sticking a fork in it or something, or in the outlet, it shuts off. So basically like people who are trying to incite violence at all times, in my opinion, are just like trying to take someone. They're basically like taking a toddler's hand with a fork and shoving it in an outlet, right? And then if I blow up on somebody, it's like that every time. So I basically like, I know I'm wrong. Basically like every time I basically get physical or psychologically violent towards anybody. I don't support violence now. I'm like, oh, like, and then like the in recent times, like when I was violent, like it made no sense. Like, and like all through my life, like if I was doing kumite with my sister or something in karate or whatever, she'd literally like side kick me in the head, like repetitively. And then like, you know, I was just like, I'd like gut punch her like in the solar plexus to like wind her, because I was like, okay, like it's actually kind of like unacceptable. Like she's supposed to stop here. She doesn't stop here. She goes like all the way, and then I'm like fucked, right? So like literally like I've got brain damage from shit like that going on, where people just don't learn that fucking violence is bad, and then like I'm literally like a fucking walking dummy, basically like fucking punching bag. And I'm like, oh look, it's not actually. And then I'm learning that I don't think like being a punching bag is actually good. Being a punching bag is not how you teach someone that like violence is bad. You know, it doesn't actually help whatsoever. Like if you're trying to like, if you got a zero tolerance for violence, you shouldn't be a punching bag, right? If anything, you should just be a rock. You know, because if she was sidekicking this, right, as hard as she was hitting my fucking head, she wouldn't be kicking anymore. You know what I mean?